Alrighty guys, welcome to the 2026 matchups guide for Katarina. Without further ado, let's just get into this. I don't want to waste any time. We can start from the easy ones, and in my opinion, the easiest. Let me just honestly swap those two around. Honestly, the easiest matchup when it comes to playing Katarina, in my opinion, is Aurelion Sol. I don't think anyone should ever be struggling against him. It's a very easy lane. Sol usually plays to scale and roam constantly, shoving in lane. You can punish him and try to fight him during lane. The one annoying thing about Sol is his W, which he'll use to get away from hard engages if he's ever pushed up. You try to fight and kill him. He gets stronger when scaled, so you need to put him behind early and ping his roams. So basically, I highly recommend Electro into this matchup, but like I personally, just as a disclaimer, I take my runes based on the team comp, but many people have always keep asking me constantly, what do you take for this matchup and this matchup? For the sake of this video, I'm gonna recommend a rune page for each matchup, so it's way more detailed than the last one. Right? So now I just explained the laning phase, and I told you Electrocute is honestly the best one. And you can easily go Precision second tree. You don't need to go resolve like some of the other matchups. And then second of all is Veigar. The nice thing about when you're playing against Veigar is that you can easily E out of his cage. When he uses his E, his circle thing where if you walk into it you get stunned, you can easily E out of it. So there's a lot of counterplay. You can easily lump out of his cage and outplay him. If you can ever E onto him, just fight him all in and kill him. If you shove him in, he'll struggle to farm with his Q on their tower. So he's even easier to lane against than Veigar because Sol is able to roam easier than Veigar, even though Veigar outscales Sol. But when it comes to roaming, Sol is way more worse. Well, both of them, all in all, are really easy. And then we have Neeko. Neeko, I've not played against her much, but to be honest, I also think it's an easy matchup. Some people are telling me it's like hard or maybe in the even, but in my opinion, you could if you easily time your trades, you could easily be able to trade against her, especially if you just keep spamming Qs on her until she gets impatient and throws a Q or an E. You can easily go for an E onto Neeko and use your W to dodge her E. Your W gives you like a mini phase rush, so you get that extra bit of movement speed so you can dodge those skill shots. I'm going to be talking a lot about using your W to dodge key skill shots, so make sure to watch until the end and you'll be able to tailor all of these to your likings. And I highly recommend, again, to take Electrocute into this matchup and easily short trade and then E out. Use the minion wave in order to E out, obviously. Swain could work both ways. You could go Conqueror or you can go Electro, but the downside of going Electro into this matchup is that if you go Electro, you must kill him in the early. If you do not kill him in the early, you're gonna struggle after hits level 6. But if you kill him in pre-6, you should have a lead enough in order to kill him. And obviously, by the way, 90% of the time, I feel like in 2026 with the new changes, always take Flash Ignite because of the new Home Guard. TP is not worth taking. So that's why you have a lot of kill pressure in these scenarios, and that's why I feel like there's a lot of potential in killing a lot of these matchups. So in my opinion, it's an easy matchup. If Swain ever misses his E, you could all in and kill him pre-6. Post-6 he's trickier, but you should have built a lead up to that point. You should just keep dodging his E and you can easily chunk him down, you know? Next we have Taliyah. Taliyah, in my opinion, is for the most part easy. If there's a good Taliyah player, it might be a bit tricky to get on top of her if she uses her W very well. But for the most part, I feel like because your E counters her E, you could easily use that to your advantage. And by the way, I'm basing this off anything under Master. I'm not basing this in like my Grandmaster Challenger lobbies. This is like your average player, and this is what I'm basing this on, especially from my unranked to master experience. These are the matchups that I found easy and favored and whatnot. So easily use your E to dodge her Q or her E or her W. It's just really easy. And use your W to dodge. Like you can easily E on top of her. If she W's, use your W movement speed that we talked about to dodge her W. You walk into her and then you walk back to your dagger, pick it up, Q, E, auto, dagger, and then E out. Amazing trade, or you can go for the all-in, doesn't matter. But that would chunk her down like crazy. Right? Moving on. We have Vel'koz, another very easy matchup in my opinion. Just don't, again, in a lot of these matchups, many people, even though they're very easy matchups, levels 1, 2, and 3 are so important. As long as you don't get poked out by these mages, level 1, they're literally the easiest matchups ever. You just need to, for in Vel'koz, you need to dodge the Vel'koz's Q while you farm, set up your daggers, and proc Electrocute for short burst trades, because Vel'koz does not have any dashes or anything. She's just very slow base movement speed. The only thing that can save her is her E, and usually they go Q, W, then E. And even if she goes second E, it should not really be a problem, because again, you can use your W to dodge her E. As long as you don't get a critical strike, you should be completely fine. There's really nothing else into this matchup. If you dodge the E, you can easily all-in him. Just respect Vel'koz's damage after level 6, because if she does land the WE, she could easily all-in you and take a very big chunk out of your HP. So keep that in mind. And a lot of Vel'koz players tend to take Flash Barrier as well, because of Azap. So don't get baited by them. Alright? Then we have Ziggs. Ziggs, again, take Electro. So for now, every single one of these, I've honestly recommended Electro, except Swain, Conqueror, or Electro. And obviously, ED would chunk him out even harder, but we're talking about in laning phase. We're all basing this on laning phase, a guide on the matchups, right? That's why I said both, because they both can easily work, but Electro for me is the most consistent. Then we have Ziggs. Another poke lane. It tests a lot of your dodging abilities, because there's a lot of skill shots that he can throw at you. His Q, his E, even sometimes his W, which obviously, but if he throws his W is like kind of trolling. Ziggs' kit is so strong for pushing the wave. That's why I put him at the end. I'm gonna put him at the end of the easy, because a good Katarina player can easily kill him. But if you do mess up and you always let him get the shove in, he will always have an opportunity to poke you or chunk you down a little bit. So you have to make him choose between poking you or the wave by sitting on the side of the wave, not in the wave. As long as you're doing that, you should be good to go. And if he W's for damage, always punish him. It's literally just so easy. Just push for any electrocute short burst trades and you're good to go. You could Q the minion wave and then E auto dagger him, and that's Electro. Or you can E auto Q him, or you can E onto him and click your W, and make sure to go to the other side of the W so that when he does blow up, he blows you up towards his own tower, so that you're able to zone him away. Make sense? Right. And then we have another similar matchup, Xerath. Xerath is actually his abilities are really hard to land, in my opinion. There aren't many experienced Xerath players, and in my opinion, it was one of the easiest matchups that I almost laced them lane against. As long as you don't take the Xerath stun up close, you should be good. But if he E's you really close to you, it's not the CC duration is not very long. As long as you don't take a long range D, you should be good to go, and you can easily all in him. He will be easy to kill at all points if you can get on top of him, and that's why Gunblade counters every single one of these because of the gap closing, by the way. Just look for any openings to get on him and don't get free poke early game. But both Conqueror or Electro work both here, but again, I highly recommend Electro. So hopefully we covered all of these easy matchups and explained to you guys how to lane against them and the runes that you have to go. And for all of them, by the way, you can easily take the standard Electro Precision. You don't need to take Resolve into any of these matchups. Yeah, I would not recommend. You don't need to take a Resolve into any of these matchups. And now we can move on to the favored matchups. We can start with Talon. The goal here is to prevent Talon from proccing his passive. And watch out for his level 2 cheese, because he could literally chunk out 70-80% of your HP if he lands his 2 Ws into the Q Ignite. He could literally one-shot you if he poked you beforehand. So just beware of that. As long as you're careful of that, and you play for your Electrocute level 2 or level 3, you should be good to go. Try to bait out his W and then go for an aggressive short trade. They will always aggressively try to proc their passive. That's all Talon has. If you avoid it, you can all in with Conqueror or with Electro. Post 6, you need to evaluate like his threat level, and if he has any damage to burst you from 100 to 0, that goes back to like your decision making and experience in the laning phase. If the answer is no, then you can just jump on him and full combo, and he'll likely have to ult out. If he, a lot of the times I do this. When I hit level 6, I easily EW auto attack him, and then Q where he's about to run, and then I click ulti. If he tries to full combo me, he'd be eating my whole ulti, and he can't run towards his tower because my dagger's already there. If he tries to all in me, I will ignite him, and then auto attack him and E onto my dagger to dodge his W. And it's just that easy to play against him. That's why it's favored towards Katarina. Because even if he does try to all in you and you're at a disadvantage, you can just E your minion wave and his whole combo's down the drain. Hopefully that was easy to grasp. And then Ahri. Now we are gonna go back to using your W. Just play around avoiding her charm with your mobility, and you should be good to go. You set up your Qs with your E and jump away, and make sure you don't get hit by the abilities. Electrocute would literally smoke Ahri, by the way. She does not like short trades at all. She relies a lot on her E. If you're able to dodge her E, it's the easiest lane on earth. That's why I put it in favored rather than putting it in easy. However, after level 6, she becomes harder to stick onto her, and that's where Electrocute will start helping you out, because you can easily go... A lot of Ahri players in the lower brackets of Elo will panic use their ulti, and Ahri is one of the champions where she relies a lot, and I mean a lot, on her... what's it called? She relies a lot on her ulti. Once her ulti is down, you can safely engage on her whenever you want, and she'll be forced to flash. Moving on, we have Galio. Many people will be confused why I put him in favored. Some people will put him in hard, or even like at least even. Most of Galio's damage is connected if he lands his taunt. He lands his E into Q. If you survive the initial burst, if you can jump back in on him, you can continue to fight. Galio's out of damage, which is front-loaded in short trades. You win extended fights here with Conqueror. Best case scenario, Galio misses an ability. If he misses his Q or his E or his W, it's literally easy all in. A lot in the lower brackets of Elo, they would miss their E a lot. Like, they would easily get baited, and they try to use their Q a lot for poke. So once they use that, you can easily... So let's say they Q the minion wave, then you E onto them, and then use your W to dodge his E. And then you can easily go for an Electro or Conqueror trade. But if you really want to win this matchup, I highly recommend Conqueror and you start D-Blade. Conqueror and you start D-Blade. And by the way, I forgot to mention, into all of these matchups, you can safely take Dark Seal first. Into Talon, D-Blade, Electro, into her. You can safely take Dark Seal as well, that's fine. D-Blade, Flash Ignite, Conqueror into Galio. You can easily win that matchup. And now we can move on to Lux. Another one that's surprisingly not in the easy, because I've coached many people and they struggle a lot in dodging her Q or her E poke. If you dodge her Q, you have to punish setup Qs. Before I even mention about setting up Qs, please punish the key cooldowns. Every single champion has key cooldowns. If you are able to dodge her Q or she wastes it out of nowhere, you can easily set up a Q or E onto her and you could easily harass her. Or when she's trying to farm, you can easily go in on her and use your W to dodge her Q. Always, your W is like a key factor. That extra bit of movement speed is so good at dodging last moment ability and skill shots. Syndra. Syndra, you need to dodge a lot in this matchup, I'll tell you that much. The problem with Syndra is that she can move while using her ability. That is what most people find tricky with her. But other than that, if you are able to get on top of her and use your W to walk towards her, it will be so awkward for her and you'll easily be able to get an Electro trade off and E out. Obviously, like I said, this is for the lower brackets of Elo. Anything on above Grandmaster Challenger, they will know how your champion works and they will space away. But in my experiences when I was playing an unranked master, I did not face any problems with Syndra and she was one of the easiest matchups for me. As long as you dodge her Q level 1 and don't give her free poke and you don't get stunned by her E, you can easily time your E when she wants to E you. Because again, you're teleporting behind them. It's not like a dash, it's like a blink. So you easily get behind them and easily go for a chunky trade. So the only threat is her E, except when level 1, obviously her Q. After that, like the whole laning phase, the only threat is her E. You jump over it or you juke it and you're good to go. You can all in her with the Conqueror or Electro. But again, if I didn't mention, Electro, Conqueror, Electro, and Electro. And all of those Electro, except Swain, you could go Conqueror or Electrocute. So now that I just summarized those, we can now move on to the even matchups. The reason I put Corki in the even, rather than, I know most people struggle in the ranged matchups, I'm going to cover all of them here. The reason I'm like Tristana, Corki, Akshan, he basically, this is where all the ranged champions, where I would put them. The main reason I put them there is because they are ranged. You are easily able to get on top of them. Usually fighters, they have burst, or they have some one-shot potential, dashes. Most of those ADCs, they don't really have that. So let's say you're playing against Tristana or Corki or Akshan. As long as you play level 1 safe and you take Electrocute and you play it right, even if you go down CS, one trade is all it takes, and then play safe until your next Electrocute, and you can literally win this laning phase like it's nothing. As long as you play it correctly, levels 1, 2, and 3 matter a lot in these matchups. So I'm just grouping them all in one. So I would hover at the end of hard or even. That's where I would put them, in my opinion. At least in my experiences. Again, I'm talking about my experience and my unranked to master series climb. This is where I would put him, in my opinion. Orianna, honestly, a good Orianna player will really annoy you, especially level 1. But if you avoid that level 1 harassment, you can, again, easily go for a nice level 2 trade. QE auto or E auto Q, doesn't matter what it is, go for a trade. Don't force farm level 1. You don't want to be losing too much HP, and you should be good to go. She becomes a bit tricky on level 6, but before that, it's fine. You will have a lot of openings to punish her early with your Qs being around 4 seconds CD. If you predict it, jump in and fight her while the ball is still in motion away from her. It's possible to stat check her with Conqueror with a good opening, but that would require a lot of misplay from her to, like, for example, use her QW and miss it while you're able to E her. But that's like asking for a lot. That's why Electro is much advised in this matchup. Yet again. Lissandra. Lissandra looks for a front-loaded burst trade, and she will disengage with her E. You need to look for openings to fight her with EW onto her and force her E, and then look for another opening, since Lissandra's E is on a very high cooldown, so you can easily engage and then force her to use her E, and then you can engage again, because your E is on a less cooldown compared to her E. So if she walks up after that, you could easily kill her. If she doesn't walk up, you control the lane. Sometimes if she's pushed up too far, you can follow her with your E, with your mobility. This is a lane where you're looking for all-ins and not short burst trades. And that's why in this matchup, it's going to be the first one where I recommend taking Electrocute with you take Bone Plating and Unflinching. Because you stop her burst, because most of the time they go Electro on her, so you can easily stop her burst when you want to go in on her and annihilate all of the one-shotting potential she has. And Unflinching gives you even more stats and armor and magic resist after you get CC'd, so you minimize the damage that you take by a lot. And by the way, I forgot to mention that in the Corki matchup, if you guys struggle, and just range matchup, by the way, I put Corki here because he symbolizes all of them, you could easily go for Second Wind, D-Shield if you're really struggling in these matchups, but you can easily go Dark Seal into these matchups. Dark Seal, Flash Ignite, and then just take Second Wind if you really want to have that extra bit of sustain. And then we have Anivia. Bro, Anivia. Her only threats are her Q. We're talking before 6. If she carelessly uses her Q, you could easily punish her, especially with Electrocute, and your W gives you that extra bit of movement speed, so you will be able to dodge it. Dodge Anivia's Q and punish her. Her auto range is also very high, so a lot of people will feel intimidated by her auto attacks, and they feel like they will be forced to engage before they go too low. It's easier said than done due to how large the Q hitbox is to dodge it. The good news is Anivia is overly mana hungry and squishy, so you have a lot of windows to abuse her in the early game. Post 6 is likely to avoid laning with her R wave clear, but if you still have a window before level 6 to kill her. If you're able to kill her, you will build up a very good lead, and you will always have prio and be able to roam or do whatever you want. So in this matchup, I think just taking normal Electro, and if you really want, you could go Unflinching Second Wind. I don't think Bone Plating is good into this. So I think you could go D Shield if you're like not comfortable into this matchup, you could go unflinching and second wind, starting D shield, or you can just go for D blade or dark seal. Really, it really depends on your preference and how you want to be playing this matchup. But I just wanted to explain how this matchup is gonna be. Annie. The reason Annie isn't even is because if she just holds on to her stun, you could easily just farm it up and then go in level 2. Even if she's holding her stun, you can still go for a chunky short trade and then E out, and it will be an even trade. She's not gonna win the trade, you won't win the trade, it will be an even trade unless she messes up something. She has range and auto attack advantage. If her stun is ever down, punish her. And if you're going Conqueror, you can go for an all-in. If you're going Electrocute, you can just go for a short trade. Just be careful in this matchup. If she burns her passive, it's the easiest matchup ever. And if she doesn't, then you can just play it safe. And after level 5, level 6, you can go for a QEW on the wave and hard push it and then E out. If you do that combo well, when she's throwing her Q stun, you can easily E out to your minion wave, and that's when you get stunned, so you avoid the full trade from Annie. So you're easily able to push the wave and then roam, or just do whatever you want. LeBlanc. I know most people will put her here, but in my opinion, I really think she's over here. She's an early game lane bully. Just watch out for her QW combo and her chains. She also auto harasses you quite a bit. You can go Dorn's Shield if you want to have sustain. Your main plan is to go for short burst trades with Electro to wither her down and sustain. So the best way I played this matchup, by the way, is to take D Shield, second wind overgrowth, and I literally always short trade against her because I will out sustain her because I have D shield and second wind. So it will look like at the beginning she's winning you a little bit in trade, like by 100 HP, but you're gonna sustain more and more and more after each trade. And she's gonna be forced to use potions, and you don't pop your potions very early in this matchup. Popping your potions as late as you can is the best way to be playing this matchup, so you can get maximum value out of your second wind regeneration. So other than that, I feel like the only threat is her QW, and then possible early game where she can like W and then auto attack you twice for Electro. As long as you understand her range, you should be able to play this matchup very easily. Malzahar. The tricky thing about Malzahar is that he's, in my opinion, a very easy laner to play against, but after laning phase is where he becomes a problem. The reason I put him in even is because if you are not able, if you don't know how to measure your, if you don't know your champion very well, it's gonna be very difficult for you to know when to all in. Malzahar is really strong poke, but you will win sustained fights by sticking onto him and auto attacking him down. Like you E onto him and then W, auto, dagger, auto. Those auto attacks matter a lot because he's so immobile and has nothing that could really save him in the early game besides his Q. So level 2 is the perfect time to go in for a nice short trade, but make sure to first of all get his, preferably to take his shield away, and then you can go for a nice short trade. Whenever Malzahar uses his E to push the wave, you have a massive opening to all in him, because many people tell me, I'm not able to fight Malzahar, he's always perma pushing the wave. You realize that your daggers one-shot his like little ants, and if he ever walks up to E, with experience, you would know when he wants to walk up to E, and when he wants to, you could easily E on top of him, and his E source of damage is gone. So you E, W, auto, dagger, Q him, and then E out. That chunks out 50% of Malzahar's HP, and it would be very easy. One of the trickier matchups when it comes to what's it called, assassins. Just do your best to avoid Zed's WQ combo in the early game, and you should be good to go. And I found a lot of success in taking Electro with a bone plating and overgrowth. Because he's so all-in oriented, if you take bone plating, he literally has to wait for another. If he's not able to land the Q on you, he's forced to use his WE to remove it. And if you force him to use his W before level 6, you can literally engage on this guy anytime you want, and you will win the trade every single time. Just don't distance yourself too far from him. You need to be a bit closer so you have more angles to dodge from. If you are close enough, you can punish him. You can punish his W by using your E directly onto him. It can be good to stand behind minions to dodge shurikens. Go for a short electro trade and repeat. Post 6, he has a ton of all-in potential. Once he ults you, you get ready to make some E maneuvers. So you'll have to predict when he's about to Q you, and you can easily just E onto the minion and try to be unpredictable, because once the first time you dodge it, they will understand or have a good idea of where you want to E, and they might predict you on that. So just try to be unpredictable after level 6, and you should be good to go. And make sure not to use your Q too early, because if you do, he can ult it. He can ult your Q and your dagger just disappears, which is like very bad. You do not want that to be happening, because you always want to have a dagger set up so that you can. Ideally, you want to have two daggers, which is your Q dagger and your W, because then he won't. There are two options for you in order to E out and keep your E. So that's the ideal situation of how you want to be playing that matchup. And again, electrocute ideally. Twisted Fate, he only really has one ability to respect, which is his W stun. There's nothing else to respect about him. If he doesn't have it up, you can always fight him. So if he uses blue or red card to wave, you can run him down all in. TF is squishy and not strong without items and reliant on roaming. So a lot of Twisted Fate players, they go Rod of Ages. So as long as you're able to kill him before level 6, you should be able to use that snowball in order to impact the map. And his level 6 is a problem in terms of the roaming, but other than that, in terms of the matchup and the laning phase, it's not a very difficult matchup. Oftentimes good or experienced Twisted Fate players will take bone plating, and you could easily remove that by using your Q, and then you can set up a dagger combo on him and just do that over and over again. And he can't really stop your hard push. You can easily fully push the waves. He will struggle to farm under tower, and you will have all the time in the world to roam. Makes sense? Now that we're done with the easy, favored, and even matchups, we can move on to the hard matchups. This is where things get a bit tricky. You see how all of these were straightforward. The runes, everything was so simple. Here is when a lot of games are needed in order to really play those matchups. I can only give you so much information, but you have to play those matchups in order to know how to counter them, because these you can win them. I'm not gonna say you can easily, but you can win them. But it's very difficult. It's pretty difficult. I'll be honest. Those two tiers they're pretty difficult to kill the opponent if he knows what he's doing, but you can also easily survive it. That's why I didn't put anything at impossible, because these are possible. You can possibly win these in the lower brackets of Elo. It's just a bit harder. So for Akali, hover Akali's max Q range and try to make her miss it. That's an ideal thing that you can do. Try to dodge her E by Eing. You can either set up a good dagger to dodge and minimize the damage taken. It's hard to 1v1 her after level 6. Generally, don't take that fight when it's up. You can ult through her shroud, make sure her mobility is spent. If she uses her E or her ult is off cooldown, or this is like before level 6 and she wastes her E, if you hit level 6 before her, you could easily punish her hard for that. She will eat your whole ultimate. Just take short burst trades with her, and Electro. I think Electrocute is your best bet into this matchup. And I usually take D-Shield second wind into this, and I try to wither her down by taking short trades and then try to sustain. But the problem is Akali does the same thing. Akali players tend to take second wind D-Shield as well. So that's why I put it up. I put her on top of the hard, because it relies a lot on Akali making mistakes. And of course, in the lower brackets of Elo, even in Challenger, people make mistakes. That's why matchups are still winnable. Doesn't matter how difficult the matchup is, it's still gonna be winnable, because no one's perfect. Not everyone's faker. Kassadin, especially after I don't know why, after 2026, Kassadin is actually a pretty difficult champion to lane against. You have to play aggressive in the early game with ideally Conqueror to not let him scale for free, and try to snowball off of him, because he hard scales. If he scales, there is no world where you will ever be able to kill him, whether you're going AD or AP. Kassadin will always win you. He will always win you. He's way too mobile. His abilities scale way too hard. He has a built-in silence to stop your ulti. He just hard counters you in the late game. So ideally, you want to take D-Blade and Conqueror into this matchup if you really want to beat him. Level 3 is your best time to go all in him, and you should be able to chunk him down really well. But that goes on to you finding the right openings. If you're able to find an opening, then there's a very good chance you could kill him. Moving on, we have Sylas. Sylas, the reason I personally would put him around even or favored, but and at the end when I was nearing Masters, there were some really good Master players. There were some really good Sylas players. So I feel like under Diamond, Sylas is easy in my opinion. But the tricky matchup is due to Sylas' sustain from his W, so you have to be very considerate on when you want all in. Because if you're able to chunk him down like a little bit, or like get him to like 60-70% HP, then you can easily go for an all in and ignite him just before he uses his W, so that he thinks he's about to sustain. But then you use Ignite, and obviously Ignite, it has grievous wounds, so it would reduce his healing, and he'd be forced to flash or take an unfavorable trade, and you will hard win that trade. You can win all in, but you need to dodge the E2, which is his stun, for you to win. Get rid of his mobility skills before going all in. A lot of Sylas players, in my experiences in the lower brackets of Elo, they were really hasty and playing so aggressive, wasting their E's and trying to go for an early trade against me, and I was easily able to punish them after they missed it. Because if they try to EE instantly, obviously you can dodge it with your E, you could QE auto attack him, and then go for an all in. You don't need to kill him, but you can continue the trade afterwards because his E is going to be off cooldown. So you can usually just test his ability to land his E. Like if you can walk up to him and use your Q to see what he's gonna do. Because you have to understand how the Sylas is gonna play. Some play passive, but for the most part, they will always try to EW you or EE. And once they use that, you could use that to your advantage and kill them. So his main threats are his E2 and his W sustain. If you're able to play around them, there's like a good amount of mind games and outplay potential in this matchup. Moving on to one of the hardest in my opinion mage matchups. Usually I always tell you guys mage matchups are so easy. Viktor, he has E-poke, a Q shield, and a W stun. The goal here is to avoid the W stun, which is easier said than done because you want to all in him, but if you try to all in him, he will put his W. So you need to set up your Qs and jump in, proc electrocute, jump out. You can optionally use Doran's shield to sustain that poke. Do not eat too many Viktor E's because his E is very difficult to land. So you'll have to always play around your Electro. When he tries to EU, E onto him. Go for a trade. When he W's, you will easily pick up your dagger and then E out. And you'll be good to go. And don't forget that Viktor's ulti does stop your ultimate because only the first one. Like when he initially clicks his ulti, it silences. So if you ulti, it will cancel yours. Just short burst trade is the best way to play this matchup. If you really want to, you could go second wind tree, but I don't think it's needed for this matchup. But I was just saying that he's one of the more difficult ones because he has a lot in this kit. He has like movement speed from his Q, a shield from his Q. He has a stun that he can put on himself, and he has E that's like very long range. So there's definitely outplay potential, but it's one of the difficult mage matchups in my opinion. Moving on, we have the Qiyana matchup. I put it on hard because if a Qiyana is if a Qiyana is very mindful, she will not walk up and let you spam Qs on her because her level 1 is very weak. Even Katarina's level 1 is stronger than her because you can easily spam like 2-3 Qs on her before she hits level 2, and that will do like 250 over HP, which means once you go level 2, if you ideally have bone plating, because I highly recommend bone plating into matchups like Zed and Qiyana and Talon, even Sylas, you can go bone plating in this matchup. Fizz, which we'll cover after we're done with the hard matchups. But in these matchups, bone plating will save you because what's the one thing these guys have all in common? They love to all in. She loves to all in. He loves to all in. And Zed loves to all in. So bone plating counters anyone who loves to all in. If you ever go in for a trade with Electro for Qiyana, proc it and get out with short trades. It's all about dodging her 2 Qs. Right? If you can then you can easily hard punish her. Just careful about standing too close to walls. Be aware of her power spec, and you should be good. Because a lot of the times when you go for a trade, they will run towards the like close to the bushes, and that's where they can easily use the ice to stun you, and then E ult you onto the wall, and then pick up another form like with their W, and then do her one-shot combo. So ideally, you want to keep taking short trades until you have her around the 50-60% HP mark, and then go in when you have bone plating, and you literally rock her shit. But the main reason I put her on hard is because if she plays it well level 1, it'll be very difficult for you to go for even trades. Because if you guys go for an all-out brawl and take a short trade, she will win you. So you have to dodge something in order to win this matchup, or to at least ideally win the trade. And another one I was struggling in, especially around the D2, D1 Master MMR, Zoe. If Zoe is actually good, she could easily go out of, if she can abuse the Fog of War with her Q and use her E with the terrain. There's a lot that she can do outside of Fog of War. She's similar to how Jayce is, where she can easily abuse Fog of War in order to kill you, and you can't easily engage on her because she can pre-E before you E, and she will land her sleep on you, and oh my god, guys, do not let her land her E, or she will literally remove 80-70% of your HP. It's not gonna be fun. If you dodge, there's always Q or E, you should be good to go, because even if she lands her E, if she doesn't have the Q to follow up, she will not be dealing damage. Her ability to dodge random summoner spells can also make it tricky, because again she can pick up she can pick up summoner spells or items from a minion she killed, and it's kind of luck based. She could instantly get an ignite from it, or like something really valuable. And if she doesn't, then you can easily just keep trading with her, and just make sure not to just to respect her W when she uses it, because there's like small things that can come out, and it will make you lose the trade. So try to bait out her W ability and play around her E. You can use your W to dodge it, by the way. So if you're able to, you can then easily go for it. You go for an Electrocute Burst trade while dodging the Zoe E. So if inexperienced Zoe players will instantly E when you want to go on them, rather than waiting until you E. And that's where you have the opening. You need good movement and have to set up nice daggers in this lane. If she overextends with her Q trying to like push the wave or something, then you can easily punish her with Electro. Zoe's most telegraphed and reliant on her Q, and once she burns her Q, it's easy. Because a lot of them, it's more likely that they will use their Q rather than E. That's why I'm emphasizing a lot on Zoe's Q rather than her E, because their E, they hold on to it a lot. But if they use their Q, I've not seen many people go for that all-in, so that's a key cooldown that you have to punish. If she uses her Q, you could easily win the all-in trade, or the Electro trade. You could easily E onto her, W and then dagger, auto Q, and then she's gonna sleep you, and her Q's off cooldown. All she can do is auto attack you, and then you E out. You win the trade. So that covers the hard matchups, and now moving on to the very hard matchups. I know everyone wants me to talk about these matchups. So Yasuo. Yasuo is my permaban, by the way. When I'm in high elo, I hate him. Even in low elo, I hate him. The main reason is, outside of laning phase, is a big problem. His W can mix your Q and your ulti disappear. You can't use your daggers. It's just very difficult. Even after you land your Q, he can easily wind wall it. That's also like a bigger problem. So in laning phase, you have to dodge his Qs and make sure he doesn't get his tornado onto you. A lot of the time when people are watching me, you see me, I play so safe level 1, and I sometimes go 0 CS first wave. I wait until I get Electro, and then I go for an Electrocute trade, and then E out. You can win sustained fights by using Conqueror, but you have to dodge his Qs and work around his wind wall, because a lot of, I guess in the lower brackets of Elo, many people were complaining that the Yasuo players are bad, but that's just a given. They don't know how to use their W and their Tornado, which is the center of his kit, which is his Q and his W. He wastes any of those two, or he misuses them. You can easily punish him, but if they don't, then it's a very difficult matchup, but you can easily farm. That's what many people don't think. It's a difficult matchup, but you have the tools to outplay Yasuo. Wind Wall can mess up your ult and Q, like I already mentioned, so don't commit too hard until Wind Wall is down. And don't forget that after he gets Berserkers, it's much harder to dodge, so respect him. Because the more attack speed he has, the faster his Qs are, or something like that, or the faster his E's are. I think his Q and E scale with like attack speed or something, so that's something I've noticed. With him and with Yone, but with Yone it's way easier. I don't know why Yone's not here, by the way. Yone isn't easy, by the way, if anyone's wondering. I just realized Yone's not here. So Yasuo and Yone, I'm putting them together, but Yasuo was in very hard. Yone is very easy in my opinion. Yone is very easy. You take Flash Ignite, Electro or Conqueror, you beat this guy every single day of the week. You don't need to take Bone Plating. You don't need to. You easily beat that matchup. Diana. I think some people may even put her at the hardest. Even though I won her in lane. I've beat her a lot of times when I was in my unranked to master series. I played against her like 3 times and I won her 3 times. The problem with her is that it's very hard to dodge Diana's Q. It only swings one way, so try to outmaneuver it, but I know it's very difficult. She has her W shield, so even if she misses her Q, she could easily, if you try to go in on her, she will get a shield. So I know that if you try to interact with her in melee range, it's a bit difficult, but if you're able to go for a nice short trade, and if you take Bone Plating, it's really good. And I found success with taking Doran's Ring, just into this matchup, by the way, because I'm able to poke her with my Q, and then E out. So I just keep spamming Qs on her, Q, 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 Q. And whenever she tries to throw a Q, I E onto my minion. I make sure I'm in front, I'm like in line with my melee minions, so that if she Qs me, I can E onto my caster minions. So I know it's very far-fetched, and you have to like chunk her down a lot with your Qs in order to go for this, and that's why I feel like it's hard. But a lot of the times when I beat her, it's because they play way too aggro and the jungler punishes them. And obviously, I've not covered anything about the jungler right now because we're talking about how the matchup is. We're not talking about playing safe and getting back ganked by the jungler. So, her Q and W are big threats, and obviously after level 6, just never try to trade with her. She stat checks you. Diana just stat checks you, by the way. So you can go for a short trade if you want to. If she like wastes her Q, you could go for an electro trade and E out, but never all in because she will win the all in. Even if you like play it perfectly, that's just how the matchup is. Similar thing with Vlad, especially late game, he just stat checks you. Azir. Azir is a hard matchup just because of the range advantage he has when he uses his W to place the soldier in Qs. He can't reposition his soldiers. Then so jump onto him and stick to the fight. Like when you want to be up and close with him, so you can force his Qs. But a lot of the time, what Azir players do is they will W and then you walk out of range and then they will Q, so that they can like poke you. This is Azir's Qs when he makes the soldier dash onto you or dash just anywhere. So once he does that, you can easily E onto him and you have a very good opening to go for a solid trade against him. But other than that, if they don't make that mistake, it's very difficult for you to go all in on him because he could easily, a good Azir player will hold on to his Q so that he can easily Q and then E out. He'll follow his soldier and then E out, and when he E's, he gets a shield as well, so bear that in mind. Post 6, this becomes more tricky because you need to find the way around Azir's ulti. The best thing I found is to W and then QE auto attack him, and even if he ults you, he'll be ulting you towards your dagger, and then you can E onto him. Or you can E onto the dagger you left behind. That's why I said W first, because then you're guaranteed to get a short trade. With Electro, you might take 1 tower shot. That's like the worst case scenario. You take 1 tower shot and then you E onto him or your dagger and you're good to go. But you have to play this matchup very well in order to... You have to play this matchup almost perfectly in order to kill him. So bear that in mind. Cassiopeia. The thing is, Cassiopeia is so skill shot reliant. If she doesn't land her Q, she's the easiest lane ever. I had many players in my games that would be spamming me with ease without landing their Q. And Cassiopeia in the early game, she has mana problems. So it's critical to just dodge Cassiopeia's Q as much as you can. It is on a pretty low cooldown, so it will be a kind of a workout. Her W is annoying to grab because if you want to go in on her, she can easily ground you. Grounding you just means you're not able to use dashing abilities. So if you're able to bait that out and use your W to like disengage and then go back in, it should be good to go. But the W and her Q are the biggest threats. Q comes first and then W, but her Q's on a her Q's on a relatively low cooldown, so she can spam it a lot and coin flip like landing it. So you'll have to maybe do like some reverse psychology. Like she might think you're gonna run away towards your tower, so you run forward. Sometimes you run to the left. It's gonna rely a lot on dodging, you know? When she ults, you can turn around and face away from her, by the way, and cast your ultimate to not get stunned. That's something that not many people know. You can E onto her, W, and then look away, pick up your dagger and ulti. And she's literally, even if she ultis, she will take your whole combo. So if you chunked her out beforehand, you can actually kill her with that. Because even if she ultis, your ulti is still going to be channeling and you're going to be dealing damage. You can still click ignite when you're clicking ulti, by the way. So it's very good. You can either go Conqueror or Electro. Short burst and extended trades work, but you have to dodge your Qs. So doesn't matter what rune you take into this matchup. It's more so about how you play the matchup and mainly dodging your Qs. You dodge your Qs, you're good to go. After she scales up, she becomes a very big problem because the main thing you're able to tackle is the fact that she has mana problems, so she can't spam her abilities. But once that's out of the way, she can easily kind of run you down. I'll be honest. So bear that in mind. Moving on, we have Ekko. Ekko, especially if he takes Hail of Blades, he's a pretty big problem. As long as you play level 1 safe, you should be good. And you can go for a nice level 2 trade and then E back into your minions. Just do not let Ekko proc his 3-hit passive with Electro. And Echoes love to cheese with W. They will literally always, whenever you see him come out of vision, assume W is gonna come. Wait 2 seconds. If you don't hear or see the W popping up, then you should easily be able to go for a trade. Echoes, they constantly shove the wave with their Q and roam. So punish Ekko when he Qs onto the wave. You can A behind him and use your W for the movement speed, and you should easily be able to kill him. When he goes for minions or anything, you should be good to go. Trading ultis with him is actually very good since Ekko's overly reliant on his ulti. So I always do this when I hit level 6. I instantly go onto him and I EW auto attack Q where the tower is so that he does not run towards it, and I just click ulti. And then he'll try to ult me and then I E onto my dagger. So then he's forced to disengage, and now it's going to be favored to me because he's more ult reliant than me, because that's his only form of disengage and burst. What's it called? Bone plating works wonders into this match because again, he loves taking that swift, fast trade, especially when they take a Hail of Blades. So definitely something I would recommend. Bone plate, electrocute, bone plating would counter him. Fizz, you know that not many people know this, but you can dodge Fizz's Q with your E. Like when he's mid Q animation, you could Q him and E. So you land your Q and you dodge his E. I always woke up and it worked like 90% of the time. When I was in gold, plat, emerald, diamond, I literally Q Fizz and E out, and they always fall for it and Q. So they channel their Q and your E dodges it. It's like they didn't even land it. And try as best as you can to throw your Qs level 1. Throw. It's fine. So because his E is obviously on a longer cooldown than his Q, so as long as you trade your Q for his E, not many Fizz players do that, but when they do, you're able to punish him after your Q comes back to cooldown because his E is on a big cooldown. Just stay out of his Q range. He'll just hit you with the electrocute and jump out for free. Just wait for the wave. If you have a minion wave, you can easily bait out that Q and you're good to go. You also don't want to get hit by his E. He has 2 E's. He has the fast E, and then he has the E where it slows you. If he's able to land that, you're in big trouble. Because then he's able to go for an all-in, and it's just not going to be nice. If you really want to, you could go for Doran's Shield and just not interact with him in lane if you're really not comfortable. But I really think you can win this matchup if you are confident on Katarina. And once you understand this matchup and play a few Fizz games against Fizz, a few Katarina games against Fizz, this lane becomes easier the more you play this matchup. And another difficult matchup that I've showcased a lot, and it's one of my most viewed videos against Irelia. I'm an Irelia. I play Irelia main. I used to be an Irelia one trick. She's part of my champion pool, so I know how to counter her very well. So this goes back into, there are 2 things you have to avoid. Her level 1, where she wants to Q the first 3 minions and Q onto you, and then her E. After level 1, when you're level 2, if you take Electro, you could easily trade with her and E out. Especially because Irelia players are so impatient because they know everyone knows Irelia is a very strong level bully in laning phase, so they can't help but try to engage on you and land their E. If they miss their E, you could easily go for an amazing short trade and then E out. Do it again, E out, do it again, and E out. Wave management is key in this. As long as you are around your turret or on your half of the lane, you can easily safely go for an electro trade and E out. So it's not as difficult as many people may think. The only issue is if she does land her E, I'm pretty sure 70%, 60% of her HP will be gone. And after that, if she has Ignite, she can definitely dive you. It is a very possible angle for her to dive you. So just keep that in mind. Jayce. Funnily enough, I literally played this matchup, I think, today when I was streaming, and I beat him twice. He was like a challenger. He was a challenger Jayce main. But the main reason I put it on very hard is because when I have a friend who plays Jayce, and if you are good on Jayce, this is almost an unplayable matchup because he has two forms. He has the melee form and he has the ranged form. The main thing that you're able to punish is when they switch forms, there's like a 5-second cooldown on it. When they switch forms, you have to understand there are two things that are like there are pros and cons for each. When he's in his ranged form, he's able to harass you, but when you engage on him, he's very vulnerable. But in his fighter form, you never want to engage on him. If he's in his fighter form, if you E onto him, he will WQ auto attack you, and then E switch forms, and then he will cannon shoot you with his W, and then AQ, and he can one shot you. So the only way the only opening you have, there's no other opening, is if he wastes his. There are two things. If he wastes his EQ in his what's it called? In his ranged form, or if he's in his fighter form and he switched to his ranged form. Because the moment he switched to his ranged form, you have 5 seconds to go for a solid trade. You get that trade, and it's literally easy. It's one of the easiest trades that you can ever take. This one's a rather niche pick, Rumble. I played against it only once, and I think it's one of the most unplayable matchups I have ever played, by the way. Rumble can easily start E level 1, and he can zone you from EXP, because I played this only on top lane. I didn't play against him mid lane. So I don't think he's able to zone you from EXP level 1 on mid lane. But if he lands his E, then he will always be annoying, because they usually take Comet, and they will start spamming their E's and Q's on you, trying to make you as low as possible. And the main issue is that he also has double movement speed and a shield. He has a built-in slow. His level 6 all-in's also crazy, so that means you try to be very cautious when it comes to using your E, and never all-in him unless you have taken multiple short trades, favorable short trades. It's a very difficult matchup, I'll tell you that much. I don't often see it, but when I do see it, I opt to take D-Shield second win into this matchup. Rise. You know that, funny enough, in low elo, Rise is one of the easiest matchup. In low elo, if you're telling me like in gold, plat, emerald, I would literally put this guy here. But in high elo, or in like diamond plus, Rise is a very, very difficult matchup. Because even if he doesn't kill you, this guy has one of the fastest pushes in the game. He will likely try to shove and build his tier. Just try to pressure him when he's trying to farm. His early game isn't great, but once he hits 6, he will start scaling so hard. He could use phase rush because I think he's a phase rush user, so it's better to go for short burst trades, because if you try to go conqueror, he will easily outspace you and then go back in, and he will easily win the extended trade. So short trades are best into this matchup. You could take bone plating, but I would highly recommend taking D-Blade and then the standard Electro page. Or Dark Steel, but no, I think D-Blade. Or D-Blade or D-Shield, one of them. And last but not least, we have Vladimir. Vladimir is a pretty bad matchup due to his sustain, because even if you have even if you go for a favorable trade, he just out sustains. So you could take second wind and D-Shield, but against a good Vladimir player, he will always know when to avoid trades. The thing I was able to exploit in the lower brackets of Elo is that they don't know when they should avoid the trade, so they think they can easily out sustain me, which is true, but they need time. So they need to get like 3, 4, 5 Qs off in order to gain that back. But if they don't, or if they're not that patient, you easily win this matchup, by the way. You could take Conqueror and try to go for an all-in sustain trade and run him down level 3, because usually the mistake Vladimirs do is they use their W at the wrong time. If you E W auto attack him and then he instantly uses his W to dodge your dagger, then you can easily go for an all-in by going for a Q, E auto, and then picking up your dagger, and you literally all-in him and ignite. And he's forced to flash, he's gonna lose most of his HP, and you would have priority in laning phase. But that's a long shot, and even if they misplay, it's still very Vladimir favored. So I'm trying to scheme. Are there any matchups I didn't mention? I didn't put Mel because even if I put Mel after there, if you guys probably have already seen, Mel got her adjustments or nerfs. Mel is gonna be an easy or favored. She was on hard before, but now she has no reflect, she has nothing. So I would put Mel on the easy. You have Pantheon, not someone you would see often, but he's definitely on very hard. I highly recommend taking Bone Plating, D Shield into that matchup. Unless you don't want to interact with him, then you can take Dark Seal and maybe Flash TP. What else is there? I feel like that about is everything. Vex, yeah, there's Vex. Vex for me, by the way, is even at worst hard because I've won this matchup almost every single time by taking Electrocute, second doing Unflinching and Flash Ignite, and you easily win this lane. By the way, I've coached so many people and did live coaching, and they have won this consistently. They will always make mistakes in the lower brackets of Elo. Hui, I would put the Hui easy. Another mage that you could easily use your E to dodge his key skill shots. Aurora, I would put on even because it's kind of a skill matchup where the more you know about the matchup, the easier it's gonna be for you. Nafri, I would put him on hard. The main reason I put him not on very hard is because I feel like there is outplay potential, especially between level 1, 2, and 3. But after he gets his invulnerability thing, it's pretty difficult. But if you're able to go for a solid level 2 Electro trade, it kind of sets up your lane when it comes to playing against Nafri. You also have Kale. Kale is a very easy matchup. I literally played that matchup today. I would say favored or easy. As long as you kill her before level 6, you have a very big advantage over what's her name? Over Kale. I'm trying just to think of any kind of niche pick. A Morgana also favored easy because you can use your W to dodge her Q, and you go for easy trades. Conqueror preferably into her though if you really want to kill her, but Electro also works just fine. And then you have like the Cho'Gath, Malphite, Garen, Renekton. All of these picks, it's much better if you go Conqueror, Second Wind, and D-Shield into those matchups. And it's actually not as bad as many people may think. And you can easily sustain all of the damage that they will deal. I've literally made a YouTube video of me beating Garen, and I've beat Cho'Gath, and I've even recently posted a video literally yesterday or today, and I've beat Renekton. So it's definitely possible. One of the harder bruiser matchups or like the fighter matchups from top lane is Tryndamere, and he's one of the few ones where I actually take Electrocute against, but you don't need to win that matchup because you could easily hard shove and then roam. So I don't feel like you need to kill him. Kennen, I would put Kennen on favored or even. I've played against them recently and I did not face any trouble against him. The only things you have to be respectful of, do not let him land his W passive thing on you, and if you're able to dodge his Q, you can go for a very favorable trade. So dodge those two things and you're good to go. And they won't do this mistake a lot, but if he wastes his E trying to like chase you down, you all in him and he dies. It's not even close. Merc Boots counters him, by the way. So just honestly, I'm gonna wrap this up, and then I'm gonna cover the boots and what's best for each. Smolder, also Smolder's one of the I know I was gonna put them all here, but Smolder I think is one of the easier ranged champions to play against. He's very weak. He's all about scaling. As long as you kill him early, you take Electrocute obviously, and you easily kill him. So real quick, I feel like it's quite self-explanatory, but I'm sorry I have to mention this to show you like how easy it is to play those matchups. Into matchups like Kennen, or into matchups where there's a lot of CC and magic resist involved, Merc Boots hard counters them. Mercs, for example, into Lissandra. Mercs into Anivia. Mercs into Annie. Mercs into Leblanc. Into Twisted Fate. Into Syndra. Into Galio. Into Ahri. Into what? Into Neeko. Maybe Veigar. Into these matchups, I feel like you can easily get away with going Sork Boots, but I personally don't go Sork Boots anymore. If you guys have checked my history, I always buy Mercs or Tabis, abuse it while you can, and I'm pretty sure they will get nerfed. Phantasm has talked about this, and it literally inflates your elo. Trust me, like, It's so broken. Like the Z matchup, after I get my upgraded boots, he can no longer one-shot me. He's not a problem anywhere after I get my upgraded AD boots. Irelia isn't. Jayce kind of is, so I'm not gonna say Jayce. Qiyana isn't a problem. Corki isn't a problem. A lot of those Talon and Jayce are still gonna be problems because one has a bleed and one has a very good disengage. So that about, I think, wraps up everything that I really wanted to mention. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this matchups guide. If you guys liked this, comment down below. If there were any champions I missed, comment down below. I tried to cover the most picked champions, and at least the ones that I've played against most, and that's where I wanted to put them. I don't know, I've played against Nocturne, but I just did it. I was like, I'm not even gonna put him. And Nocturne would be in like easy, by the way, but I'm not gonna put him. I can't even get him out. It's fine. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the matchups tier list. Let me know if you like this kind of content. Yeah, see you guys in the next video. Peace out.